So, today we're going to talk about a semi controversial topic in the plant world or the indoor plant world, I guess. Welcome back. And if you're new here, my name is Alyssa and I thank you for being here. So, I do not water my plants on any kind of schedule. I tried, I failed at it, my plant suffered because of it, and I no longer do it. Now, this method may work for some, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't try it, but I just want to let you know that, especially if you're a beginner plant lover or plant parent, don't get discouraged if this doesn't work for you or if you can't seem to keep a watering schedule or something like that, because it's not the end all be all. It is not the only option. I personally think it's really intimidating for some new plant parents. And I am here to take those intimidations away and let you know that there are other ways that you can know if your plant needs water other than just an every Monday watering or something like that. And I'm also going to tell you that there actually could be some drawbacks to that. Again, if you're not a very experienced plant owner, you could run into some problems by watering once a week on a schedule. So for me, this didn't really work because I, like I'm sure many of you, have a very hectic life. We have 4 kids, ages 16 down to 6. They are all in sports and activities. They all need a lot of attention and time. They've always got something going on in the evenings and on the weekends. I feel like we're hardly ever home. I'm lucky if I can even get dinner on the table, get myself a shower, and look halfway presentable for like everyday life. And so just being locked down to a weekly or bi-weekly schedule of watering all of my plants just wasn't realistic for me. Also, another thing to keep in mind is that sometimes at different points of the year and depending on where you live, your air inside might be more humid, it might be more dry, things like that. Like here in Nebraska, we're in the fall and we're going to be entering into the winter here soon. We're going to start turning our heat on here pretty soon inside of our home. Our air is going to be really dry inside of the home. And so that might make my plants dry out a little bit faster than they did, let's say, in the summertime when we had a lot more humidity inside the home. And so, with that being said, that might mean that at different times of the year or in different regional areas of the United States, we might need to water different amounts of time, different amounts each time, things like that. So it's not really as cut and dry as some people make it seem. And it really is better, I think personally, to really get to know your plant, get to know the signs of underwatering, overwatering, what it looks like and feels like when your plant really needs water, and to go off of that instead of a strict schedule or a routine. And along with that, if you're watering every single week just because the little thing on your, when you got your plant, the little thing said to water once a week and you're doing it every week on Mondays, you really, really do run the risk of overwatering. So now that I've shared with you why it didn't work with me and why I don't fully believe in the scheduled watering, we're going to talk about what I do instead and what I think you should do as a plant parent to learn and know if your plants need watered or if they're okay for a little bit longer. Okay, so what I do, and now this might be different, if you've got 200 plus plants in your house, this might be a little bit harder. For me, it's pretty manageable. I have maybe, 25 or 30 plants inside right now. And what I do is as I'm walking around the house doing other things, I just feel a plant. If it looks pretty dry, I'll stick my finger in there. And if an inch down, it's pretty damp still, or especially if the top is still damp, I leave it alone. It does not need any water. It's not going to need any for a while. If about an inch or so down, it's feeling pretty dry and crumbly, I know then that it's going to need water either now or soon. If the plant is completely dry, I will go ahead and water right then and there. If it's still a little bit damp, an inch down, I might make a mental note and say, okay, tomorrow I should probably feel again and more than likely water the plant at that time. Honestly, this is keeping it super simple, you guys. Of course, there are exceptions to this. When you get into the very rare and exotic plants, which I would not recommend doing if you're a beginner plant parent. But if you're more experienced and you're getting into tropical plants and very rare and exotic plants that you're paying hundreds of dollars for and things like that, then we might need to talk about being a little bit more specific and maybe a little bit more scheduled and on routine. But for just your normal everyday house plants and for your normal everyday house plant parent. I think that just simplicity and less intimidation is probably the best. I did make a simple list here of things that you should look out for because I truly believe that most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, your plants will start to let you know when they need water or when they need something. And the more you watch your plants and get to know them and kind of let them do their own thing and you just be the observer, you'll start to understand those triggers and what you can look for in your own specific plants. So some things that I think that you should really look for are leaves drooping. That can be a telltale sign that, hey, I need water. I'm a little bit thirsty over here. Also, if leaves are dulling, so if it's a bright green plant and the leaves look a little dull or like they have like a grayish look to them, that probably means they need water as well. And then, of course, if the soil is just completely dry, right? Then you definitely need to water. Little side note here, but I do think it is worth noting is that this watering discussion that we're having is one of the main reasons why I am switching all of my potted indoor plants into clear nursery pots. And I'll show you here, I have an ivy, a little baby ivy right here. Another one, this is Tradescantia that I grew from some clippings and it's still trying to fill out. It's a baby and it is in a clear nursery pot too. I have tons. I've transferred about half of my plant collection into clear nursery pots and the other half are still in their other pots. But if you put them in these clear nursery pots, you can see that not only the root systems, but you can see the soil composition. You can see how dry or wet or dense the soil is. And that is extremely helpful, especially for beginners. And if you don't like the look of these clear pots, I don't mind it for most of mine. But if you don't like it, go ahead and just set this clear pot directly into a decorative pot. And then it's so much easier to take it out and water it as well when it's in the clear pots. So I think that is what I have for you today on this topic. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe to this channel. I would really, really, really love it. Go ahead and leave me a comment. And also, please feel free to check out my channel and see some other videos that I have done. I've got a couple of videos on other plant care tips, my weight loss journey, and other stuff. So feel free to check those out. And with that being said, this is where we're going to end today's video. Thank you so much for spending space and time with me. I realize that you could have been anywhere for these last 10 to 15 minutes and you chose to be here with me. And I don't take that for granted. I really greatly appreciate that. So thank you so much for being here and I'll see you next time.